What's up, people? Welcome back to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday morning. My throat's gone a little bit. I was at a wedding all day yesterday, so do apologise if I sound a little bit like a frog, but it is what it is. Let's move. We've got to do the show anyway because we have got so much to get into on the show this morning. Before we jump into it, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's jump straight on into it. So on the show this morning, we are going to be talking a bit about Anthony Martial. We've got a really big story coming out surrounding him. We're also going to be talking a bit about Mason Greenwood. We've had a bit more of an update on what the plan is for Mason's potential return. We're also going to be talking about Sofyan Amrabat. There's some updates on him. We're going to be talking about Benjamin Pavard. We've got some news on Thuram from Nice as well. And we have got a bit of an update on Harry Maguire, which I know a lot of you in the chat are really concerned about, but we will talk about that. So everybody take a chill pill on the Harry Maguire one. I don't think it's as bad as what people are thinking. And we also have got a little bit of takeover news, but I'm just going to leave that right to the very end because I'll be honest, I'm completely sick to death with the takeover stuff, and I just think it's almost pointless speaking about it, but it is a news show, so we will talk about it at the very, very end of the video. But let's jump straight on into it, and as always, do get involved in the comments section. I try and make it as interactive as possible, so please do get involved. Please let me know how you're feeling about all the different topics we talk about today. Okay, let's start off with some positivity then, just to get things moving. So Fred has come out, obviously Mr. Fred, number 17, Pastor Fred, has put up an Instagram story in the last few hours confirming that he has now moved to Besiktas, to Fenerbahce. I'm just going to get the post up for you because it's nice to read it out sometimes, isn't it? I know we spoke about this a little bit yesterday. He'd flown over to Turkey to do his medical, but he has now put out this post on Instagram. He says, "Thanks for everything, Manchester United. Today ends one of the most beautiful stages of my career. I live the dream of wearing the shirt of one of the biggest clubs in the world. Going through ups and downs, I leave with the conviction that I always gave my best during all training sessions and games. It was 5 years of a true dream for me and my family. I will be forever grateful for the opportunity, forever a Red." There you go. So Fred has officially gone. Let's wish Fred all the best because, as he says, I do think he gave his all in every single game. And I don't know about training sessions because obviously I'm not the manager, but every time Fred came on the pitch, he did try every single game. He never let his head kind of drop. Yeah, I don't think he was good enough for Manchester United, but he did give 110% every single game. And there's no way you could doubt his passion or his desire to play for Manchester United. So Fred, we will miss you, but obviously it is the right decision to let him go. So all the best to Fred in his career. I hope he has a really good time in Turkey and I hope he wins lots of trophies. Yeah, because he is a likeable person, isn't he, Fred? So yeah, goodbye, Fred. Fred is gone. And that obviously now means that we will see this bid for Sofyan Amrabat coming in, which we will talk about in a minute. But as we all know, the Fred deal had to happen in order for Amrabat to go. 15 million euros, including add-ons. Yeah, it is what it is. Let's move on from that one. Fred is gone. So goodbye, Fred. That's the bit of positivity to start the show off this morning. Right, let's move on to something else though, because that is kind of that story we've been talking about for so long now, and it's just getting a little bit tiresome. But at least we've reached a conclusion with that deal. Somebody has finally left the club, and we've got a bit of money for them. Right, now let's talk about his replacement. Let's talk about Sofyan Amrabat. Now, over the last 24 to 48 hours, the amount of people who've been messaging me saying the deal's off, he's going to Juventus, he's going to Atletico Madrid. I've seen it in some newspaper that I've never heard of that, you know, Juventus are about to buy him. And there's been so much fear and so much scaremongering around this Sofyan Amrabat deal. Now, I'm not going to sit here and judge you and say, you know, that you're wrong for thinking that, because I understand it when you're so invested in something and you really, really want a signing to happen. And then there's journalists coming out saying that he's going to go to Juventus, he's going to go to Atletico Madrid. Of course it's going to worry you, because I understand that everybody in the chat here probably thinks that Amrabat is vital to what Erik ten Hag wants to do. We know that Erik ten Hag wants him. We know that he wants to come to Manchester United. And I think, you know, people really, really want this deal to happen. Now, we've had a bit more clarity come out on this situation since we spoke last night. Now, this came out very, very late last night from Alfredo Padula, who is an Italian journalist, been very, very good around all of the Serie A transfers this summer. He was very good around Onana, very good around Rasmus Højlund. Yeah, he is an Italian journalist. He only really does Italian sports stories. Right, so he's come out saying that Sofyan Amrabat has received proposals from Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Saudi clubs, but he wants to wait for Manchester United. He only wants to join Manchester United. So hopefully that makes a few of you a bit more relaxed this morning. You know, I've said this to you so many times on the channel. The only way that this deal doesn't happen is if Manchester United mess it up. But there's no way they can mess it up now. We've got the money for Fred, That was what we were told we needed to do in order to make this deal happen. We've had another journalist, as I just said, come out in this was literally late last night, saying that, reinforcing the fact that he only wants to join Manchester United. He's rejected Liverpool, he's rejected Bayern, he's rejected clubs in Saudi Arabia, and he wants to come to United. So I don't see why this deal wouldn't happen. I know it's been dragging on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and I get that, but the thing you have to remember, right, is Manchester United have, all that's come out about this story over the last 2 or 3 weeks has always been Manchester United need to sell Fred or Donny in order to buy him. So I know it's frustrating. I know people are saying, why is it taking so long? But it's taking so long because they've taken this long to sell Fred and Donny. Fred is gone. We just spoke about Fred. He's done his post. He's obviously signed his contract at Fenerbahce. He wouldn't put that post out on Instagram if he was still a Manchester United player, would he? So Fred is gone. And that now means that Manchester United need to put this bid in. If on Monday, tomorrow, we don't see a bid going in, maybe then we can start getting a little bit worried. If by Friday next week we haven't seen a bid go in, then I'll be very, very worried. But at this point, all of the bits of stories that are supposed to happen have now happened. Fred's gone. Amrabat wants Manchester United. The bid has to go in. To back that up as well, Fabrizio Romano has been saying this same story, this same line for the past 2, 3, 4 weeks, that he's had lots of other offers, Saudi Arabia, Munich, Liverpool, like all of these people are in for him, but he only wants to come to Manchester United. So this isn't new news, but I just wanted to bring it back to you just to show that there are still people, even in light of Juventus and all of these other clubs that people are getting scared about, there are still journalists talking about this story, saying that he does want to come to Manchester United. That's his chosen destination. So yeah, I'm feeling positive about this one, and I do think we will get Sofian Amrabat over the line. I think he'll be our next signing, and then I think we'll go after the centre-back. But yeah, let me know how you're feeling about this one in the comment section. Let me know if you're still worried about Juventus, if you're worried about Atletico Madrid. I just think it's all noise, I do, and I think it's just a way of getting Manchester United to speed up the deal, maybe get Manchester United to pay a little bit more money. You know, Fiorentina can say to United, we did want 25, but Juventus were also interested, so now we want 30, you know? So it might just end up being that Manchester United have to pay a little bit more than what we originally had hoped. But I think anything between 25 and 35 million pounds for Amrabat would be an incredible bit of business. If it goes above that, I think it gets a little bit maybe questionable, and I think you probably could get someone better when you start getting into the 40 to 50 to 60 kind of range. But yeah, I'm still feeling confident about this one, and yeah, just everybody try and take a deep breath, and let's just hope that this one reaches its conclusion in the next week, let's say. Right. Let's move on to the next story, though. Everybody who's just joining in the last few minutes, please do smash a like on the video, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're on the road to 12k subscribers. We only hit 10k about 24 hours ago, so it's absolutely mental. Big ups to everybody who is supporting the channel so far. Big ups to all the regulars. I really, really do appreciate you. We're about 30 subscribers away from 11,700, so go and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's crack on with the rest of the show. Right, let's talk about Anthony Martial then, because that's obviously one that is quite interesting. So there's a story coming out this morning from Alex Crook, who obviously is a journalist for TalkSport. TalkSport as a whole, I think, maybe isn't the most credible source, but I do like Alex Crook. He is a good journalist. He obviously is a Manchester United fan as well. So, yeah, I think out of the TalkSport people, he's one of the better ones. So Alex Crook is reporting this morning the following. He says that West Ham have apparently registered their interest in Anthony Martial, and it goes on to say that talks are at an early stage. It's unsure whether Erik ten Hag will be willing to sell Anthony Martial with poor squad depth up front. So we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago as well, actually. We said that apparently West Ham were interested in signing Anthony Martial, but it looks like this is actually now materialised into actual concrete talks, and that talks are ongoing between West Ham and Anthony Martial about a move over to London. Now, the thing you have to remember here, which I think makes this deal more likely, is obviously West Ham have just sold Scamacca. They've sold their main striker. I think he was their record signing, maybe, other than Qatar. They've sold him to where's he gone? He's gone to Atalanta. So Scamacca's left West Ham, their striker, gone to Atalanta. So now West Ham are in the market for a striker. Obviously, they're doing this Harry Maguire deal. It looks like they're going for Scott McTominay. Do they then make it a hat-trick of Manchester United players and go for Anthony Martial? I think Anthony Martial would do really, really well at West Ham. He'd have European football, obviously playing in the Europa League. The kind of expectations are definitely a lot less at West Ham. I think he could go there. I think he could reinvent his career, and I think he would actually do quite well there. I do. Because at the end of the day, compared to how Manchester United want to play, it's a very, very different style of football over at West Ham, and I think that he would suit their style of football. He's only 27 years of age, remember. He's still isn't that old. He's still probably got 5 or 6 years left in him at the top of the game if he can stay fit. So I think this would be a good move for him. I want you to let me know in the comment section how much you think would be a fair price for Anthony Martial to go to West Ham. I think somewhere around 10 to 20 million pounds would be fair. The big stumbling block here, as it is with all Manchester United players, is the wages. He's on £250,000 per week at Manchester United at the moment. So that would, of course, be the immediate stumbling block and something that Manchester United would have to get over. I do still think that there is a deal to be done there because West Ham need a striker. We have a striker which, let's be honest, isn't good enough to play for Manchester United, but is definitely good enough to play for West Ham. And a fully fit Anthony Martial, I think, would do incredible at West Ham. So let's hope that this one happens. It's good that talks have actually begun because this isn't just a kind of, oh, they're interested. He's actually reporting this morning that talks are ongoing. Talks have started. They're at an early stage, but talks have started. So I guess they'll probably be speaking to Anthony Martial himself saying, would you be interested in moving to West Ham? If he says yes, then they'll probably start talking about personal terms and about how much money they would be willing to pay him. And then if there's positive answers to that, they then would go to Manchester United and submit a bid. So yeah, we've heard for many weeks from many different journalists that if a bid comes in for Anthony Martial and it's a good bid, Manchester United would sell him. So I think this is one to keep an eye on. I think we've still got about 2.5 weeks left of the transfer window. I think it's one that could pick up a bit of pace in the next few weeks. And the thing you have to remember is, obviously, qatar looks set to go to Manchester City. Apparently, they're going to pay £110 million Manchester City for qatar from West Ham. So West Ham are going to have this massive pot of money. You know, they go for Maguire, they go for McTominay, they go for James Ward-Prowse, they go for a couple of others. They're going to have about £250 million to spend. And that's just from player sales this summer. So I think this is a really good move for him, but we will keep you updated on that one. Do let me know in the comment section how much you think he'd be worth, and do let me know whether you think that this deal will happen. At this point, I would probably say it's 50-50. Yeah, I think it's 50-50. It depends how these initial talks go. So yeah, let me know how you feel about that one in the comment section. Right, let's talk about Harry Maguire really quickly, because I've seen so many of you in the chat getting really concerned about this deal. Now, there is one journalist who, again, is not a very good journalist. His name's Reluctant Nico on Twitter. I don't even know who he reports for. I'm going to try and find out, but... So his name's Reluctant Nico. His profile's private. Alan Nixon. I think he writes for the Daily Mail, maybe. Let me check. I don't think he's a very good journalist, is what I'm trying to get at. Let's have a look. Yeah, he writes for The Sun. I mean, that kind of says it all. So this guy, Reluctant Nico, his name's Alan Nixon on Twitter, is reporting that apparently the Harry Maguire deal has stalled over personal terms. And he could yet stay at Manchester United and fight for his place. I mean, that's the biggest load of rubbish I've ever seen. It definitely is a load of rubbish. We had people coming out yesterday. We had The Guardian. We had a couple of other legitimate newspapers in the UK. Anybody not in the UK, like, this guy writes for the worst newspaper in the whole of the UK, literally, The Sun. It's complete trash. It's not even worth the paper it's written on, to be completely honest with you. It is trash. It's a trash newspaper. I'm not saying he's not a good journalist. Maybe he is a good journalist, but if he's writing for The Sun, then, like, yeah, they're literally like the bottom tier that you could have in football journalism world. So we did speak about this one yesterday, and where are we? Okay, let's have a look. So Sky Sports reported on Friday that personal terms won't be an issue between Manchester United. And then yesterday, The Guardian reported that personal terms have been agreed. So 2 or 3 actual legitimate sources in the UK kind of media world have said that personal terms have been agreed. And now we've got one journalist coming out who writes for... The thing you have to remember with these types of people, right? These are stories that they'll have put in the newspapers on the weekend. So these people on the Saturday and the Sunday newspapers, in order to sell papers, they put drastic headlines, which are 99% of the time not true, on the back page to try and sell newspapers, okay? Because those are the type of newspapers they are. They're tabloid newspapers. They're not very good. And that's where this story's come from. Nobody else is reporting it. You haven't got The Athletic. You haven't got, you haven't got Fabrizio. You've literally just got this one person. And even on Friday as well, we heard from 2 or 3 different journalists that personal terms were agreed and that Manchester United were going to have to pay £6 million to Harry Maguire in compensation for the difference in wages he's going to receive at Manchester United versus what he'll get at West Ham. So I'm not worried about the Harry Maguire deal. I think it will happen. And Fabrizio even came out on Friday and said that Manchester United were holding up the deal at their end, Manchester United, because they want to get the replacement centre-back in the club, or at least have the deal half agreed before they agree to sell Harry Maguire. So, yeah, I think the reason it's taking longer is because Manchester United are waiting. They're waiting until they have either Todibo or Benjamin Pavard, until they agree terms. And then they'll push the button on both the deals. And it will all happen. And we have got a bit of an update on the centre-back situation. Let me know in the comment section if that makes sense. If you think that, if you're still worried about it, do get in the comment section and we can have that conversation. But for me, I'm not worried about the Harry Maguire deal. I think it's as good as done. I don't want to jinx it, but I would say, in my opinion, this is just my honest feeling of the situation. I would say 95% Harry Maguire's gone. I would. Okay, Fabrizio said 30 million deal agreed. David Moyes came out in a press conference yesterday, the West Ham manager, and said that a deal had been agreed. Personal terms have been reportedly agreed by Sky Sports, The Guardian, multiple other outlets, and they've already, told us what the fee is we'll have to pay Maguire to leave. So I don't see how now one journalist for the worst newspaper in the UK can say, oh, personal terms aren't agreed. It's just rubbish. So let's just move on from that. Everybody try and stay positive. But if you are worried about it, let me know in the comment section and we can try and continue the conversation, maybe in the chat once the video's finished. Right. Okay, let's move on to something else though. Let's keep things rolling. Let's talk about Benjamin Pavard, because this follows nicely from the last topic into this one. So, as we just said, Fabrizio Romano on Friday said that Manchester United were waiting until they confirmed their new centre-back before they allowed Maguire to leave. So Fabrizio came out last night saying, I understand that Manchester United have now made direct contact with Bayern Munich for the Benjamin Pavard deal. He goes on to say that there's still no green light from Bayern Munich. Pavard's intention is clear. He wants to leave and try a new chapter. Pavard will not sign a new deal at Bayern Munich, and the current one expires in June 2024. So it looks like Benjamin Pavard will be the new centre-back. I know some of you are going to be upset about that. I know some of you really, really want Todibo. I understand that, I get it, but at the end of the day, we have to get what Erik ten Hag wants. If Erik ten Hag wants Benjamin Pavard, that's the player we have to get. I fully back my manager. I fully trust his plan for the club. And if that's the player he wants, we have to get him. We do. Maybe he wants to buy a better centre-back next season. Maybe he wants to go and buy Tomori, Antonio Silva from Benfica. Maybe he's going to get Todibo next season. We just have to trust that Erik ten Hag knows what he's doing. And yes, this was yesterday evening. Fabrizio reported this. We're not sure how much the fee will be. Obviously, we need to wait and see how that happens. But the fact that the conversations are now happening between the two clubs, Manchester United have already reportedly agreed personal terms with Benjamin Pavard. They've already spoke to his agents. They've spoke to his representatives. And they've got the sense that the deal wants to happen. Benjamin Pavard wants to come to Manchester United. Fabrizio's reported that. Multiple other journalists, Plettigol, Christian Folks reported it. He wants to join Manchester United. He wants to leave Bayern Munich. They just have to agree a fee between the two clubs. We know that Bayern Munich want to keep him, okay? So before you start getting really negative and upset about this, Thomas Tuchel wants Benjamin Pavard to stay at Manchester United. He's not some reject who isn't part of the squad and they don't want anymore. He wants him to sign a new contract, but he doesn't want to, and he wants to leave, and he wants to come to Manchester United. So, yeah, I think that's positive. And we have got another story coming out from Fabrizio Romano, literally in the last 5 minutes on this topic. Fabrizio is reporting that Manchester United could get Benjamin Pavard from Bayern Munich for less than the reported £30 million fee. This is the feeling at Manchester United. Everybody is now waiting for the clubs to discuss a fee, but Jean-Claire Todibo does remain on the list. So this is an update that's literally just come in this morning from Fabrizio. So it does look like Benjamin Pavard is the number one option. But obviously, Jean-Claire Todibo is still on the list. And apparently Bayern Munich have asked for £30 million for the player. I think 30 million is too much for Benjamin Pavard. I think 20 to 25 tops. Anything more than that, I wouldn't go anywhere near him. As a fourth choice centre-back, I don't think you should be paying anything more than 20 million, really. 25, very, very, very tops. Lindelof will be ahead of him for me. He will. I think the pecking order would be obviously Varane and Martinez, then Lindelof, then Benjamin Pavard. That's what I would do. Yeah. And in some ways, if you want to be really critical about it, unless you're going to get him for less than what you're paying for Harry Maguire, then there's almost no point in doing the deal, because he's 27 years of age. He's obviously better than Harry Maguire, but I wouldn't say he's an elite centre back. He's not elite. He's not world class. He's a good centre back, but he's not a, you know, he's not as good as Varane. He's not as good as Martinez. He's not going to push them out of the team, I don't think. So we have to make sure that we get him for less than what we're paying for Harry Maguire. If we get him for 20 and we sell Harry Maguire for 30, I think that's a good bit of business. That means you have an extra 10 million in the bank. That can go towards a striker. It could go towards another midfielder. But if we paid 30 million for him, I would be pretty disappointed with that. But let me know in the comments section how much you think would be a good price for Benjamin Pavard. I think 20 to 25 tops, maybe 20 plus 5 million in add-ons, something around that kind of figure. Yeah, that's what I would do. But the most important thing here is we need to get what Erik ten Hag wants. If Erik ten Hag wants Benjamin Pavard, I 100% back him. I 100% back he's made the right decision, and that will be, you know, the player that we get. So we'll keep you updated on that one. We'll let you know as and when this deal progresses. But at this point, from what we're hearing, from all of the different stories that have come out in the last 24 hours, it looks like Benjamin Pavard will be the signing we make. But Fabrizio does say that Jean-Claire Todibo is still there. So if Bayern Munich try and be a bunch of jokers and say we want 40 million for him, Manchester United will just drop their interest and go for Jean-Claire Todibo. So we'll have to wait and see how that one pans out. But I would say that Benjamin Pavard will be the new centre-back. But let me know in the comment section how you feel about that. Yeah, let me know whether I know most of you prefer Jean-Claire Todibo, don't you? Although we did do a poll on the community section of our channel the other day, and I think it was 40% of you wanted Benjamin Pavard, 50% of you wanted Jean-Claire Todibo, and then 10% of you said you wanted somebody else. So it is quite tight. There is quite a mixed bag of opinions on this deal. So hopefully everybody is happy in the end, and hopefully everybody can kind of support the manager and, you know that we're getting the player that he actually wants, because that is the most important thing here. I will read out some of your comments in a little bit as well, so do get your comments in, and please do make sure to smash a like on the video if you haven't already, and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're only 10 subscribers away from 11,700, so do make sure you go and subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, let's keep things moving. Okay. Right, let's move on to the next story though. Let's keep things rolling on the show this morning. Let's talk about Mason Greenwood really quickly. So we've had a bit of an update coming in this morning saying that apparently Manchester United are preparing a TV interview with Mason Greenwood. So this is what we're being led to believe is all part of the way to bring him back into the squad. Obviously, a lot of fans want answers. Maybe some of you don't, but I think a lot of people do want answers. They want to know what happened. They want to know more about the behind the scenes. Obviously, we don't know at this stage who this interview will be with. It's still at the early stages, but that is what's being suggested, that an interview will take place on TV for everybody to see all around the world. You'll be able to watch this, obviously, on YouTube, whatever. Mason Greenwood being interviewed. I think my only comment on this is it depends what the interview's like. When we saw the Cristiano Ronaldo Piers Morgan interview, like that interview wasn't even worth doing. Piers Morgan didn't even question him, really, did he? Cristiano just led the interview. He was literally just in awe of him, wasn't he, Piers Morgan? And it just felt a little bit like, I don't know. You know what I mean, don't you? Anybody who watched that Cristiano Piers Morgan interview, like it was insightful as Manchester United fans, but from an interviewer's perspective, it was one of the worst interviews I've ever seen. He didn't question him. He didn't challenge him. It was just like, I'm Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm going to say what I want, and you have to agree with me. I think this interview is obviously a very, very touchy subject. Of course, it's a very sensitive subject. But it needs to be handled in the right way. And obviously, the difficult questions are going to be expected to be asked, you know? And obviously, until that happens, like, we'll have to wait and see what's said, and, you know, before we pass judgment. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. But that does look like what the next step is. Obviously, as and when we get information on when this will happen or who it will be with, of course, we will bring that news to you. But at the moment, that's what is reportedly going to happen. Because I think it was a couple of days ago, wasn't it, that they said that it would be a TV interview, and he would also have to, you know, go through counselling and all the rest of it. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on that one. I don't want to spend too much time talking about Mason, because we have spoke about him quite a lot in the last couple of days, and I know it's one that a lot of people feel quite passionate about, which is of course absolutely fine. But yeah, let's just keep that one short, keep that bit sweet. Yeah, I think it's the right decision, though, to do that. Okay, I will say that. And let's move on to the next topic. Right, we've got a bit of an update on the Manchester United takeover. Everybody's favourite topic, the one that we are literally sick to death of talking about. You know what, though? We haven't spoke about it for probably a week, 2 weeks on the channel at all. So, I don't know. I'm quite glad we haven't, because I'm literally so sick to death of talking about the Manchester United takeover. I really, really am. It just drains the life out of you, doesn't it? So we've got an update coming in this morning. I'm just trying to find out who this guy writes for, but it's all over Twitter. Let me just have a look. I want to make sure I get the source right. Let's have a look. Luke. Okay, here we go. All right, so he writes for the Times in the UK, which is an okay newspaper. It's not the you know, it's okay. It's not as bad as the Sun or the Daily Mail. Right, so the story coming out this morning is saying the Manchester United's takeover has been stalled as the Glazers wrestle with legal and regulatory issues, and those close to the process say there is talk that Ineos are exploring imaginative ways in which they may be able to break the deadlock. I don't really know what that means. Is that an update? Like what's the point in putting out a story like that if it doesn't actually really say anything? It's a bit frustrating when journalists do that, isn't it? I assume it's part of a bigger news piece, so I'm just going to try and find that quickly for you guys. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's all part of Ed Woodward is apparently writing a book. So Ed Woodward's writing a book about Manchester United and about the Glazers, and apparently this information has kind of come out as a result of this book. That's what's being reported. I mean, last time it was Sir Jim Ratcliffe was doing a book, wasn't it? And he got asked questions in a pub. I don't know. I just think all of it at the moment, they're just fishing for news. They're just putting out stuff that doesn't really say much. It doesn't really actually mean anything. You know, oh, the Glazers are stalling because of potential issues. It's like, what issues? Tell us what the issues are. I just think they're all just like clinging on to try and stay relevant. They're trying to, you know, they're trying to generate stories from stuff where there isn't really actually anything to talk about. So if everybody's happy, I will just move on from that because I don't know. I'm just going to see if there's anything else on that particular, from that journalist though, just to say, yeah, I don't know. It's just, I don't know what everybody feels about the takeover, but I think now that the season's starting, it's going to get really, really hot, isn't it? It's going to get really, really hot. Obviously, there'll be protests tomorrow. There's going to be a stage sitting. So the fans are going to sit in the ground for 60 minutes after the Nottingham Forest game and only refuse to leave the stadium. Like, things will start to build up again. And I think the Glazers will start to feel the pressure now. Obviously, there's going to be peaceful protests being organised by the 1958 group. There's going to be lots and lots of stuff coming out. So, yeah, I don't know. All right, let's move on from that, though. I just think it's a bit of a nothing story. Anyway, let's talk about Marcus Thuram. We've got an update on him for you. There's a story coming out from a journalist in France saying that apparently Thuram, it's not Marcus Thuram, sorry, the Thuram from Nice. Thuram from Nice. So Thuram's camp remains on the lookout for a way out of Nice, with Manchester United thought to be monitoring the player. So we did bring that story to you yesterday, that apparently Manchester United sent scouts to the Nice game on Friday, where both Thuram and Jean-Claire Todibo were being monitored. We believe that Thuram is one of the backup options in midfield. Now, I don't know whether he's maybe somebody who could replace Scott McTominay. That is, of course, a possibility. I don't know. I do like this Thuram guy. I do. I think he would be a good replacement for Scott McTominay. I think if you got him and you got Amrabat, I think that would be incredible. I do. I think that would be very, very good. Yeah. I would like to see this guy at Manchester United. Let me know in the comment section what you think of Thuram. I think he's a quality player. Only 21 years of age, 6'3", obviously French international, playing at Nice. He would definitely want to join Manchester United. If you got rid of McTominay and brought in him, that's definitely a big upgrade in my eyes. But let me know what you think about that one. Would you like to see Thuram at Manchester United? He does look like he is somebody we are closely monitoring at this moment in time. Whether or not we'll make a bid for him, that's yet to be seen. All right, let's have a read of a few questions then. Let's have a look. What we got? Somebody says, Kieran, between Manchester United men's team and women's team, which one is better and yielding much profit? I'm not really sure what your point is there, my friend, but both of the teams are important. So I don't know what you mean there. Stefan says, why are we suddenly in for the Nice players? I don't know. I wouldn't overthink it. I don't think it's, you know, fair to say, oh, just because we're targeting Jean-Claire Todibo, that means that Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to come. Because the thing you have to remember, right, is, let me explain this to you. UEFA have brought in a rule that says if an owner owns more than one club, so if Sir Jim Ratcliffe owns Nice and Manchester United, he wouldn't be able to sell players from Nice to Manchester United because it creates unfair competition. That was the rule they brought in. They said you can have multi-club ownership, but clubs aren't allowed to sell players to each other, because otherwise, you know, if Manchester United was bought by Qatar, then they could just sell Kylian Mbappe to us for nothing, couldn't they? And then it creates an unfair advantage. Or they could give us Neymar. Or do you see what I'm saying? So there is actually now rules been put in place which would actually stop Sir Jim Ratcliffe from selling any of his players from Nice to Manchester United if he was going to get the club. So if you're going down that kind of conspiracy angle of, oh, we're linked to the Nice players because Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to own the club, it actually is the opposite, because Sir Jim Ratcliffe wouldn't be able to sell us players if he was going to own the club because of the new UEFA rules. So yeah, I'm not really too sure about that one. Right, I will read out a couple more questions in a minute, but we've got some more updates to bring you. So we've got an update on Neymar. I've had quite a few of you in the chat asking me, Kieran, would you go for Neymar? Do you think he'd be a good option? And I've said no, but I'm going to bring you the story anyway, just to give you a little bit of clarity on what's going on with him. So apparently Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia have submitted what is being described as an important proposal. This is coming out from Fabrizio Romano. He says, Al Hilal have presented an important proposal to Neymar Jr. in the recent hours. Sources describe it as a huge bid. Negotiations are underway to reach full agreement. Neymar tempted by this move. Work in progress with PSG. And it goes on to say that beginning of the next week will be crucial for Neymar Jr. and potential move to Al Hilal. Talks are very advanced as revealed overnight. So it looks like Neymar's going to Saudi Arabia. I know some of you in the chat really wanted him to come to Manchester United. I know there was a lot of Chelsea fans who thought he might go to Chelsea. He's not coming to either club. He's going to Saudi Arabia. It is mad, isn't it? Let's just take a minute. I know people are saying, oh, the Saudi League's never going to catch up. It's never going to catch up. But like, if you actually look at the players that are in the Saudi League now, it is absolutely mental. If Neymar goes there as well, like, it's crazy. And they've just, obviously I live in the UK, but they've just got TV rights now for the Saudi League in the UK. So I think it's on DAZN or something. So you can actually watch all of the Saudi Arabian football games now on your Sky or your BT box. Whereas you can't even do that with English football. Like, you can literally watch every single Saudi League game in England now, you know, on your Sky, on your BT. So it is crazy that all of these top players are going there. I know some of you would have really liked to see Neymar at Manchester United. It's a no from me. I'm not upset about this in the slightest. He was on, I think, £700,000-800,000 a week. He causes too much trouble off the pitch. Obviously, he is an elite footballer. He's a world-class footballer, but yeah, I'm not at all bothered by that one. But let me know in the comment section what you think about that one. And let me know how you feel about the Saudi League. Are you worried about it? Do you think it's eventually going to take over the Premier League? It's difficult to say. It is. I think obviously for us, or, you know, for Premier League fans, it's never going to take over. But for new, younger audiences, I do think they will take a lot of the market, because, you know, at the end of the day, people want to watch their favourite footballers. If you're one of those people who watches Neymar every week, you're going to keep watching Neymar. The same with Messi going to the MLS. I'm sure the MLS numbers have gone up massively because of him. So yeah, obviously it's a very weak league at the moment. There's like one or two good players in every single team at this point, isn't there? You know, there'll be Ronaldo and Koulibaly in one team, Neymar and Ruben Neves in one team, you know, that kind of thing. And the other 15 players are from Saudi Arabia and are probably the level of like League Two football in England. So I don't think there's anything to worry about in the next kind of few years. But if they keep going at the rate they are, if every single year, every single team in Saudi Arabia buys one or two players, then within 10 years, you know, they probably will have good teams. And just to wrap that bit of the show up as well, I would not be surprised at all if the Champions League, UEFA, start including Saudi teams in the competition. I wouldn't be surprised whatsoever. That's bound to happen eventually, isn't it? And they'll make their own kind of Super League. You know, the Champions League will start inviting Saudi clubs in. That's just my opinion, but you know what UEFA's like. As soon as there's money involved, I'm sure that would happen. Right, I'm going to read out some of your comments now. Tommy says it's pronounced DAZN. Okay. Yeah, I've never watched it, to be honest. I'm not probably going to ever watch the Saudi League, to be honest. I'm just not interested in it. I support Manchester United. I love Manchester United. I'm not going to start supporting a team in Saudi Arabia. I don't have any attachment to it. You know, even if like my favorite even if Rashford goes and starts playing in Saudi Arabia, I'm not going to start watching it. So, but yeah, let me know in the comment section. Is there anybody here who watches the Saudi League already? Is there anybody who's tempted to start watching it this season? Let me know, because I'm really interested in to see where this one goes. So do let me know. So this is an interesting take. Stefan says Saudi leagues in the Champions League would be fantastic, actually. So let me ask you that as well, just before we end it. Would you like to see Saudi Arabian teams in the Champions League? Obviously, it's not going to be immediately, but say in the next 5 years, would you like to see Al Hilal, Al Nassr all in the Champions League? Let me know. Somebody says, do you think we will win the Champions League this season? I don't think so. I think we'll do well. I think we'll get to the last 16 or the round of 8, but I don't think we'll win it. I mean, it all depends, right? If we get a striker, if we get Amrabat, a striker, and I think we need 2 midfielders. I would go with this, right? A striker, Kolo Muani, Jonathan David, Mohamed Kudus, Taremi. If we get a striker, one of them, we bring in 2 midfielders. I'm saying Amrabat and then someone like Tchouaméni or Thuram, and we bring in a centre-back. I think we would be in the race to win the Premier League and the Champions League, genuinely. I'm not saying we would do it, but I'm saying we'd have the squad to at least compete. At this moment in time, we definitely don't have the squad. We need another 4 signings, I think. But let me know in the comments section, how close are we to win a Premier League or a Champions League? How many more players do you think we need? For me, it's 4. I think 4 is the minimum. World-class striker, a midfielder to replace Scott McTominay if he goes. It needs to be someone world-class, Tchouaméni, and then Amrabat to replace Donny and Fred, and then a centre-back. That's what I would go for. Right, let's read out a couple of questions. We've got 5 minutes left of the video, so if you have got any questions, get them in. I'm just having a look through the chat now to see. So Lumen says, Kieran, how many first-choice players has Erik ten Hag got so far? Well, Onana was first choice. Mason Mount was first choice. Højlund, I don't think was first choice, but you know they'll say he was. I think he wanted Kane. I think he probably wanted Victor Osimhen. Like, let's not be silly here. I'm sure if you offered Erik ten Hag, Victor Osimhen, or Rasmus Højlund, he's going to go for Victor Osimhen, isn't he? So I'd say out of the 3 signings we've made this summer, I'd say 2 of them are first choice. But don't think that I'm, you know, bad mouthing Rasmus Højlund. I think Rasmus Højlund is definitely somebody they want for the future, but I don't think he's somebody that, you know, is going to come in and win us the Premier League next season. I've said that many, many times before. He could turn into a Victor Osimhen. He could turn into a Harry Kane. If you look at Rasmus Højlund's stats, he's actually scored more goals at the age of 20 than Harry Kane had scored at the age of 20. So he has all of the possibilities of turning into a Harry Kane. But at this moment in time, I'm sure Erik ten Hag would have preferred one of those other people. So yeah, I'd say we've got 2 of our first choice options. Yeah, somebody's talking about the goalkeeper situation. So we will talk about that really, really quickly. Obviously, Tom Heaton's injured. Dean Henderson's injured. Matis Kovar's been sold to Bayern Leverkusen. We do have a backup goalkeeper who I believe will be on the bench against Wolves tomorrow night. So his name's Radek Vitek. 19 years of age. He is from Czech Republic, I believe. I've never seen him play before. I think he went on the tour. 19 years of age. He joined Manchester United in 2021. So he's going to be the backup for the game against Wolves on Monday. But yeah, we desperately need to sign a new goalkeeper really, really badly. Obviously, we've been linked to the goalkeeper from Fenerbahce. We've also been linked to the backup goalkeeper from Rangers. All of the goalkeepers we've been linked to have been, in my opinion, mid. Or maybe even not even mid, like bottom tier defenders. Sorry, not defenders, goalkeepers. Yeah, so it does make you think, why have we sold Matis Kovar? But until the end of the transfer window, I'm not going to pass judgment on that. Maybe Manchester United have something up their sleeve. Maybe we do go and get a really good goalkeeper as the backup. Maybe we get a free agent. Maybe there's a loan we can do. I don't know. So it is a concern. Somebody's saying I think Vitek is injured as well. Oh dear. Oh dear. Don't tell me he's injured as well. I mean, if he's injured as well, I think Monday's going to be a very special day. Do you know why? I think we're going to see Mr. Maguire in the goalkeeper jersey. We're going to see Harry Maguire on the bench in the goalkeeper jersey. You wait for it. You're all laughing at me now, but you wait until tomorrow night when they announce the team news and Maguire's on that bench and everyone's saying, I thought he was being sold. Why is Maguire? And they've put him in the goal. You wait. We'll see who's laughing tomorrow. Anyway, obviously I'm joking. Probably not very funny, but who cares? Yeah, so I don't know about the goalkeeper situation. We'll wait and see. Right, let's read out a couple more questions. Somebody saying, what is happening with Amrabat? We already spoke about Amrabat, my friend. Just rewind back to the video. I will recap everything at the end of the video, though, for anybody who is late. Joshua says he's watched them in the Youth Cup final when we beat Nottingham Forest. Frank says, Kieran, do you think we should go for Ferguson from Brighton as a Martial replacement if he leaves? Yes, Evan Ferguson is unbelievable, but I don't want to ruin your morning. I have this funny feeling that Tottenham are going to go for Evan Ferguson. Obviously, Harry Kane's just left for what, 110 million? I don't bet, I don't gamble, but I would, if I was going to bet, I would put money on Tottenham going in for Evan Ferguson. I just have a feeling they will. 18 years of age, obviously already scoring goals in the Premier League, already starting for Brighton in the Premier League. I can just see this happening, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the other people they've been linked to, it's like Taremi from Porto. Imagine if you're a Tottenham fan, right? You lose your greatest player in the last 10 years, your top goal scorer in the Premier League, and you go from that to Taremi from Porto. Like, I would be absolutely devastated. I would be so upset. Whereas if you get someone like Evan Ferguson, I know he's obviously not at the level of Harry Kane, but he still is obviously someone who could go on to be, world class in the future. But yeah, I would love to get Evan Ferguson. I really, really would. I don't think we'll do him this summer, though. I think it would be like a next summer type signing. We know that Manchester United were interested in getting him, though, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Lumen says, Kieran, would you sell McTominay for free to Liverpool if Klopp wants him? No, I wouldn't give McTominay away for free. That's ridiculous. Like, come on. I know people don't like McTominay, but I wouldn't give him away for free. All right, that's just silly. That is really, really just silly. Right. This is a good place to wrap up the video. Obviously, thank you so much to everybody who has watched the show this morning. I really, really do appreciate you all. Before you leave, please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. This has been Daily Red Devil. I've been Kieran. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Lots of love and peace out. Speak soon, everyone. Have a great day, evening, or morning, wherever you are in the world. Speak later. Bye for now.